something that moves.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back to Cheat Code. So thanks for coming back. Thanks for checking in on me. Some important information I have to share. Okay. So now that I have your attention, let's talk about this. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is astrological signs and tarot, and why you really should not pay attention to the astrological signs. Where do I begin? So I'm going to include like a little personal example as well, but what I wanted to start off with is that when it comes to astrology, like, it's pretty complex. I mean, maybe if you're just really smart, it won't be for you, but for me, it's pretty complex. There's all kinds of houses and transits and trines and conjunctions and aspects, and it's like, what is all of that anyway? Most people just know their sun sign, and some people know like their top 3 signs. Some people know their top 5 signs. When I say top 5, I'll say like the major 5 or the major 3. So the major 3, at least most people know if they're really into it, or they listen to a lot of readings or even astrology stuff, or they check their sign for whatever information they're looking for. So the top 3 are the sun, moon, and ascendant or rising. So most people know that part of their chart, but there's more to it. And like I said, there's all like the houses and everything like that, and what you have in each house will just basically, if you haven't ever looked up your chart, most people refer to, is it called Cafe Astrology? I think that's the one that most people go to. They must be making so much money if they don't make any money, like, because it's free. So they're making money probably off of ads, but everybody pretty much uses Cafe Astrology. But if you just Google search like birth chart, natal chart, astrology chart, something like that, you'll find it. Probably the first thing to pop up. So what I was saying about not really putting too much stock into your the signs that you hear when you're listening to a reading. So if you don't know somebody's full birth chart or their natal chart, however you want to refer to it, they could be operating out of a different sign, or even embodying a different energy that is related to a different sign. And if you don't know that about them, it might make it a little bit difficult, a little bit confusing. So let's just say, like for me, I'm a Gemini. So I'm not operating out of my Gemini right now though. So if someone was to, let's say someone, let's start with myself. So if I look up, if I'm listening to a reading, we'll say like a spiritual reading, a tarot reading, whatever, and someone mentions like Gemini, or, I could be speaking to a Gemini, or this could relate to a Gemini or something like that, then it's going to be like not as accurate. There might be a couple things that will relate, but it won't be as accurate. So I'm not going to mention what space I'm operating out of right now, because Streets is still watching. So I'm trying to just be as cautious as I can until I get the go signal, and then, duck. That's all I'm going to say. Duck. So, yeah. So when I listen to a reading, if I want to pick, like, let's say someone, whoa, what was that? Sorry. Let's say someone was, doing a reading for Geminis and like, I don't know, Scorpio, Libra, blah, blah, blah. And I was listening to Gemini. It might not resonate as much as if I was listening to the sign that I know I'm operating out of. So let's say you are, I don't want to confuse this too much, but let's say you're cross-watching. So cross-watching is like you're listening to a reading about a specific sign because that might be someone you're related to, someone you're in a relationship with, you want to know their business, you're snooping, you guys broke up, whatever. And you're listening out for Gemini, but the person's not operating out of their Gemini. So you're listening to that. And because most tarot readers, energy readers, spiritualists, like they're working with energy. So they're going to pick up on your energy, and they might mention your sign or mention things about you, and you're not going to hear anything about the person that you're listening for. So that's one thing. When I mentioned cross watcher as well, something you need to keep in mind is that if the video does not specifically, or if the person does not specifically say this is a cross watcher's video, meaning that they know that people are tuning in to listen to another sign other than theirs, it's going to pick up on your energy and you're only going to hear about yourself. And you're going to get upset. And then when people start putting stuff in people's comments like, no, it's not me, it's the Libra. And it's just like, okay, calm down. Calm down, calm down. So that's another thing to pay attention to as well. So what happened in terms of like just using this as using a personal example. See, I've been stuttering and like stumbling over my words for a little while now because I don't even want to talk about this. I don't even want to talk about this. But the folks are still fucking with me. And I don't know, someone's trying to like block my intuition or stop me from speaking, block my intuition, and just try to get me like confused. So I've been kind of stumbling over my words a little bit. And I don't even want to say that because I don't want them to even know that there's any sort of effect. Because it's not stopping me, obviously, but it's kind of like, okay, chill, calm down, maybe meditate before you like record something if you really want to get that message out. But I kind of just snatch and grab, so to speak. Why am I using all these references like a robbery or some shit like that? Okay, so yeah. Where was I? So, like I said, using a personal example, for a while, I'd say for the last like maybe 3 years, I kept hearing certain signs whenever I would listen to my not mine, but whenever I would listen to readings, I would be listening to, first I would only listen to my sign, like my sun sign. And then I started listening to, like some of my major placements. And then especially, for example, if you're going through, like when I made the video talking about a spiritual awakening. So if you're familiar with what a spiritual awakening is, then when you go through dark night of the soul, and by the way, I'm still going to do the video about triggers and shadow work because I feel like it's important to do right now. But when you are going through like dark night of the soul, you're likely operating out of your moon. So you probably get more information if you listen to your moon sign, whatever that is for you. So back to what I was saying. So I used to just listen to my sun sign. And then I slowly started listening to like my other placements, and it would actually give me more of like a complete story. But when I was going through dark night of the soul, I was strictly operating out of like my moon sign. So whenever I would listen to Gemini, I'd be like, this doesn't really sound like it applies. Nah, this maybe like one or two things. Nah, this is not really me. But then I listened to my moon sign and it would be like bang on. So I was just like, okay. So I continued to listen to my moon sign until I moved out of that. So, what are the top 5? I think the top 5 just include Venus and, is it Mars? Your Venus and your Mars? Your Venus and your Jupiter? I don't know. You can always Google it. Just Google top 5 astrology placements or something like that. Okay, so what I was saying was that when I started listening to readings, and there were certain, in the beginning it was just one main person, like the little gnat, we'll say, that has just been the main irritant in my life, that I stopped talking to, the person I've referenced before, the person that I made a video a little bit about what my experience was with that person, not in detail, but just a particular experience that I had. I kept hearing her sign in my readings. So she's a Scorpio. And I kept hearing her sign in my readings. So it'd be like, oh, this Scorpio is thinking this about you, and they're thinking that, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm just like listening to something that I just want to hear about me. I don't care about the other person. But because that person was in my energy, they kept popping up in the readings. And if someone is really, really deep in your energy, it'll be picked up almost as if you are that person. So you might listen to a reading and it's like, okay, like I said, Gemini, right? So you might listen to a reading and then it's like, I'm getting that you could be like a Scorpio. I'm getting a little bit like maybe like an air sign, but maybe like your major plate, one of your major placements is like Scorpio. I'm just like, oh my gosh, every fucking time. I might be listening to something that's like, you know, a reading about like career and finance. And it'll be like, I'm getting that there's like a Scorpio energy that's trying to like block your business, trying to block you from having customers, trying to block your sales, trying to block your. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I cannot get away from this person. It's like they're constantly in my energy. There's like, I cannot, you know? So I'm not going to get into too much detail about it. I don't even want to mention that, but I just want to give an example. So there were some signs that continuously popped up in different readings, no matter who I was listening to. Let me back up a second and actually say that I don't know if I should leave that to the end or now, because it's popping into my mind. So because everything's kind of a little bit confusing right now for me, let me just say it as it comes so I don't forget. So your best bet is to listen to an actual astrology channel or to look up something to do with just strictly astrology and not someone who's using their intuition or any sort of spiritual gifts, because that is going to kind of give you different information than just someone saying, okay, well, this planet is transiting this, or it's in retrograde, or it's going direct, or we're in the shadow period, or whatever. It's going to actually give you information strictly based on your sign and whatever signs you're listening to, whatever your placements are. So they'll still give you information, like saying, for example, I'm just going to make this up because honestly, like I said, I'm still kind of studying astrology a little bit, trying to get more familiar with it. So I'm just going to make it up. So let's say they're saying, okay, so Mars is going retrograde right now. So if you are a Gemini and you have Saturn in your ninth house, then you might not want to make any contracts sort of decisions or anything that you have to really get locked into, any sort of agreements or anything. You might want to wait until Mars goes back direct or whatever planet. So it'll actually still give you information that's like helpful, but it's not going to be like someone saying, like more of like a gossipy kind of nature where someone's saying, oh, you know, you're going to find love here. Or, I mean, the astrology, people who are astrologists, they will still be able to give you that type of information. But again, it's not going to be like the salacious type of stuff where it's like, oh, this person's dating somebody else, or they're putting you in a third party, or da-da. It's not going to do all that type of stuff, or they're not going to do that. There are some people that I've watched, and I think I linked in one of my readings, or I think one of my little discussion pieces, a channel that I used to listen to. It's called Radiant Reality. It's a guy, a British guy. It's called Radiant Reality, and he started getting, I think, like more into astrology. So when he would do his readings, he would sometimes collab with an astrologer, and they would kind of go back and forth and explain what it means for, again, let's say a Gemini right now, that this is happening in this and that planet and da da da, and what that means to you and what it means for you. But he would also use his intuition and his spiritual gifts to like give more insight. So that's a good channel that I would recommend if you want to get a little bit more of the solid information and not like just really focusing on, you know, I mean, the other ones, like, they're entertaining and, you know, you still do get information that you need, but the ones that kind of focus more on astrology, you're going to get just more accurate information without the interferences, if that's a concern for you. So back to the story of what I was trying to say. So when I started listening to the readings and how this person just kept barging into every single reading, like literally and it's like a collective reading too, so it's so weird. But I feel like it's kind of like the two birds, one stone thing that I feel like God does, where it's like a lot of people can resonate with one reading. That's why we can do like a pick a pile. There'll be people like, they'll say, for example, the person's name is Kathy. That is the irritant or the person that's bothering somebody. They'll be like, I'm getting the name Kathy, And then some people will put in the comments, oh my gosh, Kathy, that's my mom's name. And yeah, she's like this and she's like that. Someone will say, oh, Kathy's my ex. Kathy was like this and da da da. So it's like so many people know a Kathy, right? So it's like when you listen to those types of readings, you do get like extra information and it does help you. And it's so interesting, like I said, how so many people can relate to it, but it's kind of like different roles that people are playing. So when I'd be listening to a reading, it would be like, oh, I feel like there's an energy trying to push through. Okay. Some people will just be like, nah, I'm not accepting it, like, and just skip over it. Other people will be like, okay, let's see what this person has to say. Okay. So then they'll read the person's energy and they'll be like, yeah, this person's been doing like spell work or, trying to summon like demons or whatever it is. They'll just go into that type of stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't even want to hear this. It's like, I can't get away. It's like, there's no way for me to get away from this person. And it wasn't just one person, but I'm just using that person as an example. So, yeah, back to what I was saying. So when I first started listening to readings, it was like that. This person kept popping up. Then all of a sudden one day I heard, something about a Pisces, and I'm like, Pisces? I'm like, do I know anybody who's a Pisces? Like, I don't know everybody's like astrology chart, so I don't really know, and not only that, I just don't even know everybody's sign. So I was like, okay, do I know a Pisces? What about this Pisces thing? So as I kept hearing this Pisces, 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 and again, the energy, I personally was not tapped into, my personal gifts at that time. I probably was. I think I've always been tapped in, but not like, I don't know how to explain this, just not maybe focused. And especially one thing that can throw you off is your emotions. So if you are emotionally charged, it's probably going to throw you off a little bit too. So that's another reason that readings are not really the best if you are emotional and you are like, you just broke up with somebody, or it has to do with a family situation or something like that, and you want to get that information. It's going to read all kinds of energy, and if people are in your energy, it's going to read their energy as if it's yours, and all kinds of weird things. So I hope this is making sense, because like I said, to me, I'm just like talking right now. I'm trying to get it out, but I'm just talking. So when the Pisces kept coming out, it was like coming out, but it still wasn't the same information as I was getting when I was hearing Scorpio all the time. So then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, wait a second. The things that they were saying were still resonating, but I'm like, okay, why is it a Pisces? And all of a sudden one day, somebody I was listening to was saying, I'm getting this person could be a Scorpio or a Pisces. And I was like, wait, what? And then that started coming up. Pisces, and I hear Scorpio, Pisces, Scorpio, back and forth. And then I hear the person could be a water sign, maybe a Pisces or a Scorpio. And I was like, wait a second, hold on. I think I understand what's going on now. So maybe, I keep banging this thing. Maybe this person is, I don't know, disguising themselves as another sign, or maybe their energy is as another sign. I'm like, let me look up this person's chart. So I looked up her chart and I saw that she was she does have Pisces in one of her major placements, and not in a good place. It's definitely one of the, like, we all have different placements that can indicate how we would react when we're angry, how we relate to money, how we relate to family, how we relate to relationships. And the placement where this person has Pisces is not a good one. And that's when I realized, okay, that's why they're coming through as a Pisces, because they're operating out of that energy. So then I kept hearing Pisces, 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 like Scorpio was like gone. I'm like, oh shit. Just like I said in the recording that I did, the video that I did, where I was saying like how when I was sitting across from this person, like they were gone. Like I really felt like I was sitting in front of like a demon. Like it was literally this negative energy. No, it was like not human. I'm not even going to talk about what I've been hearing lately and what I've been shown lately. And not only that, what these people's karma is, it's like I said, not for now, not for now. So, different signs kept popping up after that. And I was just like, okay, well, who is this person? So the signs that kept popping up were Libra, Sagittarius, Leo every once in a while, Aries, Taurus, Aquarius, and Cancer. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. in the beginning, when I first started hearing certain signs, I was like, okay, I think that this is related to me, especially when I kept hearing Libra, because I'm like, okay, Libra is um sorry. I just went blank for a second. I'm like, okay, Libra sounds like, okay, somebody that I know, but then I started hearing all these other signs coming in. And when you hear the sign, like what the sign could be, and then also the behavior or what the person's thinking or whatever, you know your life and you know your situation. So you can say, okay, yeah, it's that person. So sometimes they'll, depending on who you listen to, they might go into like more description, like, oh, this person, like they might work in this type of field, or they might do this for a living, or they might look like this or whatever. And you get further confirmation. So again, when I kept hearing the Libra, then all of a sudden the Libra disappeared and I started hearing Sagittarius. And I'm like, who do I know that's a Sagittarius? And there was actually a couple of people. But again, with the description, I'm like, I don't think that these people would be doing this or saying this or whatever behind my back. I'm like, nah, it can't be. So once again, because I knew the Libra's information, I looked it up, and of course I found the Sagittarius, and again, they were operating out of a negative space in their chart. So I was like, oh shit, okay. So the Pisces is the Scorpio, the Sagittarius is the Libra. What else? What else? So I found out that the Cancer was the Aquarius, but then all along, I kept hearing about this Taurus, and I'm like, who the fuck is the Taurus? Who is this Taurus person? And at first, I thought it was somebody that I had dated, because I did date a guy that was a Taurus. And I had heard that this person that I used to be friends with was trying to have sex with anybody that they thought I had sex with to try and get back at me, which is so weird. I don't even know why you think that that would be something that would affect me. If I'm not dating that person anymore, let them have sex with whoever they want to have sex with. What does that have to do with me? And not only that, they don't really, she doesn't know my life like that. It sounds weird, but it's like, as close as we were, there still were certain things I didn't share with her. So she doesn't know the extent of, you know, who I was dating, or what the extent of the relationship was. If I did have any sort of intimate relations with the person, she don't know that stuff. So there's really, when I was hearing that, I was like, wait, what? So she's just like having sex with random people that she thinks that I talk to, or maybe she might have seen me post on Instagram or something. Like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. So I wasn't really paying too much attention to that. 'Cause like I said, it was annoying, because I'm not listening for the information about that person. I'm listening for information about me. So for the longest while, I kept thinking that the Taurus was a person that I used to date. And it actually turned out to not be that person. And how I found out was in a really weird roundabout way. So, like I said, eventually an Aries popped up, and that was like maybe 2 years ago. And I'm like, okay, now this Aries person, who the fuck is this Aries? Now, I don't know any Aries. Like, I don't know. Actually, no, I don't. Because I'm trying to think of where Aries is in like the calendar. So I was like, I don't know who this Aries person is. And when I kept hearing that one of the people who was like spiritually attacking me was going to a practitioner, like someone who does spell work and stuff like that. They're going to a practitioner. First of all, let me just pause for a second. I keep knocking this fucking thing. Okay, let me pause for a second, because I feel so weird even talking about this stuff. I know people who can relate, they'll be able to relate, but just in general, it sounds crazy. Like, I wouldn't even think I would be talking about this like 3-4 years ago. It's stuff that I didn't even really believe in. I'm not talking about astrology. I'm talking about people doing spell work and hexes and curses. And like I said, I believe that people can do those types of things. And like I said, you know, my mom used to talk about things like that. But I felt, again, it's like, you know, small islands, small villages, you know, old, not folklore, but things that people used to do before they started getting into actual like religion and stuff. So I didn't really look at it like that's something that people still do in people that live in first world countries. I think that that's something that kind of stays in like little small towns, or even like third world countries and things like that. So little did I know that that's actually not the case. People literally do that. And it's very real. It's very real. And, you know, one day I might talk about it in more detail. Like I said, certain situations I probably will, but it's not like what I want to be known for, if that makes any sense. I don't want to be known for that, or known for any kind of like, it's like, they have like the Long Island medium and they have the Hollywood, what does he call himself? Hollywood medium or something like that. Like, I don't want to be that type of person. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, I'm not trying to lead with that. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want my legacy or my reputation to be. Not that it's a bad thing, but I'm just trying to explain certain things that are happening in case anybody can relate to it, and to further understand me and where I'm coming from with certain things, and also to help people. So it just sounds weird. Even as I'm saying it, I'm like, is this real? Like, I just keep feeling like I'm just going to wake up one day and it's going to be fake. But that also led me to think about the fact that it isn't real. It's like an illusion that is kind of like what is part of the meditation that I also posted in one of the videos that I posted from Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, where part of the meditation is that, everything is an illusion. It's not real. It's kind of like how people try to reference, this world as like the Matrix, because you are literally just your soul in a body temporarily. So it is literally like you're just having these experiences because you need to have them for your soul's progression, but it's not really happening to you, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna leave it there because I'm gonna end up going totally off course if I get too deep into that. But yeah, so it is really like an illusion. The spiritual attacks and things like that, that's a whole like next level thing, but it still is a part of your experience. And sometimes people overdo their role in your life. So some people could be like karmic people to you, and literally that's just part of what their purpose is in your life, to be a karmic, to help teach you a lesson. And when it's time for them to go, sometimes they don't want to leave. They just don't want to go. And it comes to the point that literally God will put his foot down and kick the out of these people and get them up out of there. So 2 people have been kindly ushered out. I'll say kindly because the things that are coming to them and have already started coming to them, you don't want to know. I was shown one night, I was literally up till 6 o'clock in the morning because I was getting like pure back-to-back like synchronicities. Things were popping up on like my television about things like images that I was getting in my head, and things that I had already like been told about, things I had heard in readings. Like everything was just coming. I can't even, it's hard to explain, but I couldn't even go to sleep because it was like back to back to back to back to back. And it was answering a lot of questions for me too, as some questions have been answered for me recently as well, to kind of piece things together. Because the thing is, like with your spirit guides, your ancestors, your departed loved ones, however you want to refer to, your angels, things like that, whoever God, guardian angels, even whoever God puts in charge of, not in charge, but helps guide you from the other side, from the spirit realm. They know you, they know your past, present, and future. They know they have a certain responsibility when it comes to you, but they also have a certain amount of intervening that they can do in your life. They're supposed to be guides to you, protectors to you, but there's only so much they can do because you're meant to have an experience. And how can you have an experience if everything is protected from you? You really can't. You're not really going to grow or learn anything. So certain things have to come into your reality that you have to deal with for you to grow. And it's still hard for me to accept and also believe, but we agreed to the experiences that we're having. We chose our parents before we got here. We said, yes, okay, so you know what? I need to learn this, this, and this. And God's like, yep, you need to do this, this, and this. And I don't think necessarily maybe God has like the final signature, but you and your guides or whatever, it's a soul contract, what you agree to experience. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? The problems I've been having are that, I don't know how to stay focused. So I'm going to need somebody in my life that's going to constantly push me or constantly, put me down to make me really push myself harder to prove them right, or not prove them right, to prove them wrong, not to prove them right. So you'll choose somebody, or you choose a parent or a friend or somebody that'll come into your life that will be that person that's going to push you to do better, because that's one of the challenges that you have. Then you have your agreements that are going to be like your life purpose, which is what God wants you to complete as your purpose. Then you have your own passions that you want to deal with, and you're karmic to other people as well. So there's so many moving parts. But why I was talking about the whole karmic thing is that some of these karmic people, when their time is up, they don't know how to let go. And that's when things start getting ugly and they start doing weirdo stuff like paying people to actually do spell work. I even heard one time that someone was paying somebody in another country to do spell work. And I was just like, is this real? Like I just kept saying, am I going to wake up and just be like, and that's why I even mentioned that, because it's like, it's not really real. It's real, but it's not real. It's like, it almost is like a dream. Like eventually you are going to wake up from it. And that's probably why wake up from it mean that when we pass away and we get back into our spirit selves, then we're not going to remember the hurt. You're not going to die and be a spirit with cancer. Like that doesn't work. It doesn't happen that way. It's just the experience that you have in this incarnation, and it's what you agree to. So like I was saying, these karmic people that don't know how to let go and stick around a little too long, and then they get clingy, and then they start doing weirdo stuff, and it just turns into a whole lot of mess. And that's when things kind of go a little bit left, and that's when other energies have to step in and like kind of take control of the situation. So meaning that, you know, if you believe in angels and archangels and all those other types of, you know, protective energies, that's when they have to step in and start, you know, busting ass, we'll say, with these people. And that's where their karma starts to come in. And these are some people, this is karma that they're going to have to pay lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Like these people, some of them are going to be like poor for like the next like 5 lifetimes. It's going to be things that are going to be visited on their children and all kinds of weird things. And it's like all because they don't know how to let go. It's weird. Like, I don't understand if they don't get that or if they just don't believe in that stuff or whatever. And some people that were karmic to me, like I've even heard that they were karmic in like past lifetimes and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm going so far off topic, but it's just weird. It's just weird. That's all it is. So like I was saying, let me go back. So the Taurus, I heard about the Taurus. I didn't know who the Taurus was. I couldn't figure out who it was. Then the Aries popped up and I was like, okay, is the Aries the practitioner that this person was going to, or one of the people were going to, or like who's the Aries? I don't know who the Aries is. I'm like, is the Aries the person who, like one of the old friends that I had, is that their, you know, person, like meaning like, is that their husband, common law, whatever situation they got going on? Like, is that, like, I don't know who this Aries person is. And I kept forgetting, even as far as I've come from since all this stuff started happening, I kept forgetting, like, just ask your ancestors, ask your guides to show you who is this Aries person, who is the Aries. So the other day I did that because I kept hearing the Aries and I'm like fed up hearing about this Aries. Like whenever these types of things would come up in readings that I would listen to, I would just ignore it and just kind of like tune it out until they start talking about something else. And not only that, I mean, going back to the whole, your angels, we'll just say your angels to just kind of cover everything. So when you communicate with your angels, however you do that, they know you, they know your past, present, and future. So they know what information you can handle and what information you can't handle and what you need to know, what you don't need to know. So it's almost like cheating when you listen to different readings, because it's kind of like you're hearing things that maybe they don't want you to hear. If you feel drawn to it, then it's probably something that they want you to listen to. So there's other things I want to kind of get into because it's kind of popping up in my head, but I don't want to make this too long. It's already long. But yeah, so again, like it's kind of cheating when you listen to certain readings because maybe that's something they don't want you to know because they know you're going to harp on it and get upset and be all like annoyed and stuff. So again, when it's time for you to know, they will let you know. And that's exactly what happened when I was saying that time I was up to like 6 o'clock in the morning because everything was showing me back to back to back the karma that these people were going to have. And they had kind of given me little hints about certain things before. And like, I think I mentioned it in another video that I did. I literally cried, even though I know that these people were literally doing spells on me to try and get my heart to stop. Okay. Literally trying to get my heart to stop. I still was crying because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like these people are literally going to go through hell. one reading I was listening to, this person said that God is going to let this person literally just hang on like a thread to life, just to see you reach everything that they tried to block, just for you to attain everything that they tried to block, just for them to see you happy. They're going to let them hold on. As sick as they're going to get, whatever disabilities, disfigurements, illnesses, whatever they're going to go through, they're just going to be hanging on by a thread just so they can see everything come to pass, and then they will. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I literally just started bawling. I was just like, oh my gosh, like maybe that's just the empath part of myself. And I'm just like, I don't want people to die. I just want them to learn their lesson, or just leave me the fuck alone. Like, go away. Like, I don't talk to you. I don't think about you. I blocked you. You try to make burner accounts to like still spy on me and weird shit like that. Like, what is it? What is your obsession? It's weird. Like, stop. But they don't know how to stop. So at the end of the day, it's like, you have to think about it. I was pulling cards one time, and literally the forgiveness card came out in reverse. And it was like my angel was trying to say, this person doesn't deserve forgiveness. And I don't mean it in the biblical sense or whatever, you know, your religious beliefs are, but it's kind of like, stop feeling sorry for somebody when they're doing this consciously. They're doing things and literally is trying to spy on you to see if it's working. So let's say if someone does like a beauty spell on me, right? So a beauty spell might be, they want your hair to fall out. They want you to get acne. They want you to gain weight, lose weight, all kinds of things. So they'll literally be doing these things and then watch my Instagram page, watch my videos, trying to see like, okay, did it work? That's how dedicated these people are. So why do you feel sorry for someone like that? You should not feel sorry for someone who's actually going to go to those types of lengths. Like, that's crazy. So I got over it, and I'm like, you know what? Again, they just have to learn their lesson. And if they don't want to stop and it's actually interfering with my life, then let whatever God chooses to happen to them, let it happen. I don't care. That's not my business. You should have stopped. Leave me alone. So going back to what I was saying about trying to figure out who this Aries person is, I'm like, who is the Aries? Then someone I would hear consistently popping up in my readings that I'm aware of who the person is. That person started showing up as the Aries, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, nah, there's no way. That person's not the Aries. No way. And I kept thinking, I'm like, wait. And it was almost like consistently, like back to back to back, any reading that I listened to that week, it was like all of them kept saying that the same person that was popping up in my readings as a different sign was popping up as an Aries. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh, shoot. And I started to piece it together.